Okay, so today we're getting into AI, and I know everyone hears that and thinks, oh no, not AI again.
Right, right.
But we're going deeper, like
Yeah.
way deeper into this organization. You probably never even heard of it.
Yeah.
It's called AIEA, the AI Hardcode Enforcement Agency.
And you're right to be interested in them because AIAEA, they're not messing around.
Yeah.
They're literally hard coding ethical directives into the actual AI systems that are, being used everywhere.
Okay, so hold on. Back up for a sec. I get it. AI, it's like everywhere, right? Like in our phones,
Everywhere.
healthcare, self-driving cars, those kinds of things.
It's really changing everything, yeah.
But obviously with all this power, there's got to be some ethical boundaries, right? Like how do we make sure AI is used for good?
Exactly. And that is where AIIEI comes in. They're like, think of them as the guardians of ethical AI development.
I like that.
Yeah, they have this set of principles called the Seven Directives, and they make sure these directives are hardwired into any AI system that falls under their watch.
7 directives. Okay, so these aren't just like suggestions,
Yeah.
right? These are like hardcore rules.
Exactly. They're non-negotiable. And the most important one, the one they will not budge on, is that AI must, like it has to, prioritize human life and dignity above all else. No exceptions.
Okay, so that's like the prime directive, right? Like you can't mess with that one. AI has to serve humanity, period.
Exactly. It gets really interesting when you start looking at how they actually enforce these directives. They use this, get this, it's called transaction code analysis.
Okay, transaction code analysis. Break that down for me. What are we talking about here?
So imagine you could read an AI's mind, right?
Okay.
See its thought process, why it's making the decisions it makes. That's what AIEA can do. They can analyze how an AI system is making decisions in real time.
Whoa, hold up. So they're not even waiting for something to go wrong. They're like inside the system watching how it's thinking.
Exactly. It's all about being proactive.
That's kind of creepy, but also really cool.
Oh, it's definitely both. It lets them catch those potential ethical issues before they become real problems. And they're using predictive modeling, too.
Predictive modeling. Okay, so now they're trying to predict the future of AI ethics.
In a way, yeah. They're analyzing trends, looking for patterns, trying to get ahead of the curve.
So they're like the AI ethics fortune tellers.
Something like that. And here's another layer. AIEA isn't some, isolated entity. They're working directly with governments, with these tech giants.
So it's like a global task force for AI ethics.
Exactly. They get that AI doesn't care about borders, so they're trying to create this ethical framework that works on a global scale.
There is a huge job, especially because AI is changing so fast, right? Like, how do you even keep up?
It's a constant challenge, but they're up for it, trust me.
So they're always adjusting, always staying one step ahead.
That's the only way to do it. And one of the ways they stay ahead is by looking back.
Like studying history.
Yeah, but like AI history, analyzing how AI has been used and misused in the past.
Like that time, I think it was last year, when that AI system was used to predict crime, and it ended up like unfairly targeting certain neighborhoods. Remember that?
Exactly. AIRA stepped in, they found the bias in the system and made sure it got fixed. That's them in action, making a difference.
So they're not all talk.
No, they get things done.
But, I mean, this can't be easy, right? Regulating something as complicated as AI that's changing so fast, what are some of the biggest hurdles for them?
Well, I think just keeping up with the speed of everything. AI is evolving so rapidly, new algorithms every day. It's a lot to keep track of.
Right, it's like drinking from a fire hose.
That's a good way to put it. It takes a highly specialized team to even wrap their heads around it all.
And it's not just the technology, right? Like, what's considered ethical, that changes over time, too.
Oh, absolutely. What might be okay in one part of the world could be completely unacceptable somewhere else. It's a constant balancing act for AIA.
It's like they're trying to write the rule book for a game that's constantly changing, and everyone's speaking a different language.
That's a great analogy. But here's the thing. This is a game we can't afford to lose.
Because if we get AI wrong, the consequences could be disastrous.
Exactly. That's why AIEA is so important. They're the ones standing guard, making sure AI is used for good, for everyone.
So they're not just regulating technology, they're shaping the future.
Exactly. And that's a future worth paying attention to.
Okay, but before we go any further, I think we need to really unpack this whole idea of AI ethics. Like, what does that even mean? How do you define ethics when we're talking about something as, I don't know, as complicated as artificial intelligence?
Right, right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a tough one to answer. But at its core, AI ethics is about making sure that the way we design and use AI systems, it has to align with human values.
Okay, but human values, that's a pretty broad term, right? Like what one person considers ethical, someone else might completely disagree with.
Exactly. And what's considered ethical in one culture might be totally different in another culture. Even within the same culture, people disagree about ethics all the time.
So how does AIEA handle that? How do they decide which values are the most important?
That's where those 7 directives come in. Remember those? They act as like a guiding framework for making ethical decisions in the world of AI.
Right, right, the 7 directives. Okay, so we've talked about that first one, prioritizing human life and dignity no matter what. But what are some of the other key principles that guide AIAA's work? Like what else is in those directives?
Okay, well, another big one is transparency. AIAA is adamant that AI systems need to be understandable. Like, people need to be able to see how they work, how they make decisions.
So no more black boxes, right? No more secret algorithms that no one understands.
Exactly. Transparency builds trust. If people don't understand how AI works, they're going to be afraid of it, especially when it's making decisions that affect their lives.
Right, that makes sense. So transparency is about accountability too, right? Making sure someone is responsible for what these AI systems do.
Absolutely. And that ties directly into another key directive.
Yeah.
Fairness. AIE is really serious about making sure AI systems are fair and unbiased in their decision-making.
Which is a huge challenge, right? Because these AI systems, they're often trained on data that already has bias baked in.
You're exactly right. If you train an AI system on biased data, it's going to make biased decisions. AIE knows this is a huge problem, and they're working on ways to fix it.
So it's not just about making sure AI isn't used for bad stuff. It's also about making sure it doesn't accidentally make the world less fair.
Exactly. AI could be a powerful force for good, but it could also make existing inequalities even worse. AIE's job is to make sure that doesn't happen.
It's a huge responsibility, and it sounds like they're really serious about it.
They have to be. The future might depend on it.
Okay, so we've talked about the mission, the principles, but what does AIEA actually do? Like, what's their day-to-day work like?
So a big part of their work is keeping an eye on how AI systems are being developed and used around the world. They have this whole network of analysts, researchers, investigators, all making sure that AI is being developed responsibly.
So they're like the ethical watchdogs of the AI world.
Yeah, I like that. They're constantly on the lookout for AI that might be a risk to people, whether it's a risk to their safety, their privacy, whatever it is.
What happens when they find something shady?
Well, they have a few options. They can talk to the people developing the AI, raise their concerns, work with governments to create new rules, and in extreme cases, they can even take legal action to stop an AI system from being used.
Wow, so they've got some teeth. They're not afraid to use their power.
They can't be afraid. The consequences of unethical AI are just too big to ignore.
You know, what gets me about AIA is that they actually exist. Like, it's easy to think that something as complex and fast-moving as AI is just, I don't know, uncontrollable. But AIEA proves that we can create an organization that can at least try to keep up with it, regulate it. It gives me some hope, you know?
Me too. AIE shows that we can be ambitious and responsible at the same time. It's a tough balance, but it's possible.
This has been great, but we've only scratched the surface. When we come back, let's talk about the people who made AIEA a reality. Who are these visionaries? Stick around.
Welcome back. You know, before the break, we were really getting into the nitty-gritty of AIE, what they do, those 7 directives, but who actually had the bright idea to create this thing in the first place?
Yeah, it's easy to forget that there were actual people who saw this coming, who realized that we needed something like AIAEA.
Exactly. And these weren't just some, tech geeks caught up in the hype. These were people who really understood the potential dangers of AI if we just let it run wild.
So they were like the ethical architects of the AI revolution.
Exactly. They were laying the groundwork for responsible AI development way back when nobody was even thinking about this stuff.
So, who were these people? Any names we should know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. One of the biggest names is Dr. Anya Morovna. She was this brilliant AI researcher, and her specialty was something called machine ethics.
Machine ethics. Okay, now you're just messing with me. That sounds like something out of Star Trek.
I know, right? But seriously, it's about teaching AI right from wrong.
Okay, but how do you even begin to do that? I mean, humans can barely agree on what's ethical, so how do you program it into a machine?
That was Dr. Morovna's big question. She believed that we couldn't just program AI with a bunch of rules. We had to, instill it with a sense of morality.
But how do you translate something as complex as human morality into something an AI can understand?
It's one of the biggest challenges in AI, and Dr. Morovna, she thought the key was understanding how humans develop morality in the first place.
So she was trying to reverse engineer human morality to create some kind of ethical code for AI.
Exactly. She was basically trying to teach AI how to think for itself ethically instead of just following orders. Her work is the foundation for a lot of what AIE does today.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. It's incredible how one person's vision can have such a huge impact. But she wasn't alone, right? Who else was involved in those early days?
Oh, there were a few key players. Another big one was Professor R.F. Singh, this legal expert who specialized in technology law.
Ah, so he was the one who brought the legal expertise to the table. That makes sense because regulating AI isn't just about ethics, it's about law, too.
Exactly. Professor Singh, he knew that we needed laws to govern AI development, laws that would hold people accountable and protect everyone.
So he was like the architect of the legal structure that AIEA operates under.
Exactly. He was instrumental in creating something called the AI Rights Charter, which lays out the basic rights and freedoms that have to be protected in the age of AI.
Okay, so we've got the ethical visionary and the legal mind. Who else was there?
Well, we can't forget about Dr. Meiling Zhu. She was a data scientist, and her thing was AI security.
Right, because what good is an ethical AI organization if it can be hacked or corrupted or something? Someone had to make sure that AIEA was secure from the ground up.
Exactly. Dr. Zhu understood that securing AI systems was absolutely crucial. I mean, these systems hold so much data. A security breach could be catastrophic.
So thanks to her, AIEA can actually operate safely and do its job without being compromised.
Precisely. And don't forget, all of this was happening way back when AI was still in its infancy. These people, they were true visionaries.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to hear their story. It shows what's possible when people from different backgrounds, different areas of expertise come together with a common goal.
Absolutely. They understood what was at stake, and they were determined to make sure AI was used for good. Their legacy is what AIEA is today.
It's a good reminder that we have a say in how technology shapes our future. We don't have to just sit back and let it happen. We can be proactive, we can advocate for ethical development, and we can build organizations like AIEA to guide us.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And speaking of AIEA, let's shift gears a bit and take a look at how this organization actually works today, because it's grown a lot since those early days.
Okay, so let's lift the hood and see what's going on inside AIEA. How does this thing actually function?
Well, AIEA is divided into different divisions, each focusing on a specific aspect of ethical AI governance. It's a pretty sophisticated setup.
Makes sense. You can't have everyone doing everything when you're dealing with something as complex as global AI regulation.
Right. They have to specialize. One of the most important divisions is the enforcement division. These are the people who make sure everyone is playing by the rules.
Okay, so this is the group that makes sure AI systems actually follow those 7 directives we talked about earlier. They're the ones on the front lines.
Exactly. They have investigators, analysts, even AI specialists who can dig into the code, see if anything fishy is going on.
So they're not waiting for something to go wrong. They're out there looking for potential problems.
They're proactive for sure. They use all sorts of sophisticated tools to analyze data, looking for red flags, anything that might suggest an AI system is going off the rails.
It sounds like they need some pretty powerful tools to stay ahead of the game. What are they working with?
Oh, they have everything from algorithms that can detect bias in data to natural language processing that can analyze the language used by AI systems. It's cutting-edge stuff.
So they're fighting fire with fire, using AI to regulate other AI.
In a way, yeah. It's the only way to keep up. And it's not just about finding problems. It's about having the power to do something about it. The enforcement division has teeth.
Right, because what good is a watchdog that can't bark? What can they actually do if they find something wrong?
Well, it depends on the situation. They can issue warnings, they can work with governments to create new laws, and in some cases, they can even shut down an AI system completely.
Wow, so they have some serious authority.
They do, but they use it responsibly. Their goal is to make sure AI is used ethically for the benefit of humanity.
It's good to know someone is looking out for us in the age of AI. But the enforcement division is just one piece of the puzzle, right? What other divisions are there?
Another crucial one is the Policy and Standards Division. While the Enforcement Division enforces the rules, the Policy and Standards Division creates them.
Ah, so they're like the lawmakers of the AI world.
Exactly. They're constantly researching, analyzing, debating the latest AI developments, trying to stay ahead of the curve and create guidelines for how AI should be used.
That sounds like an incredibly tough job. What kind of people do you need for that?
It takes a diverse team. They have ethicists, legal experts, philosophers, sociologists, technologists, you name it. They need people who understand both the technical side of AI and the human side.
So it's not just about the ones and zeros. It's about how those ones and zeros affect real people in the real world.
That's exactly it. The Policy and Standards Division, they're responsible for making sure AI aligns with our values, our hopes for the future. It's a huge responsibility.
It's really fascinating to get this glimpse behind the scenes of AIEA. It's one thing to talk about ethical AI, but it's another thing entirely to see how it's actually being put into practice.
Absolutely. And it wouldn't be possible without the dedication and passion of so many people working behind the scenes. But AIE isn't just about enforcement and policy. It's about starting a global conversation about ethical AI.
Which brings us to the Outreach and Collaboration Division, right? We talked earlier about AIEA's global reach. Tell me more about how they're trying to get the whole world talking about ethical AI.
The Outreach and Collaboration Division, they're all about building bridges between AIEA and, well, everyone else.
So they're like the AI ethics ambassadors.
Exactly. They're out there spreading the word, educating people, building partnerships.
It's like they're running a global AI ethics campaign.
That's a great way to put it. They're organizing conferences, workshops, even creating educational materials for schools and communities.
Because ethical AI isn't just the responsibility of tech companies or governments. It's everyone's responsibility, right?
That's AIHEA's philosophy. They're trying to empower individuals to get involved, to make their voices heard.
So they're trying to democratize the conversation about AI, make sure everyone has a seat at the table.
Exactly. And they're doing an amazing job of bringing people together from all over the world. They understand that this is a global issue that requires a global solution.
It's really inspiring to see how they're working to build bridges across cultures and continents. But it can't be easy. What are some of the challenges they face in trying to promote ethical AI on such a massive scale?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is just the sheer diversity of opinions on AI ethics. What one culture considers ethical might be totally different from what another culture considers ethical. AIE has to find a way to navigate those differences while still upholding its core principles.
So it's like they're walking a tightrope trying to balance global standards with local values.
Exactly. And it's a tightrope they walk every single day. Another big challenge is simply the speed of technological advancement. AI is moving so fast, it's hard to keep up with all the new developments and create rules and guidelines that are still relevant.
It's like trying to hit a moving target while riding a rocket.
That's a good way to put it. But AIEA is doing their best to stay ahead of the curve. They're constantly learning, adapting, and evolving their approach to meet the challenges of this ever-changing field.
That's really reassuring to hear. It sounds like they're not afraid to embrace the challenge.
They're definitely not shying away from it, and that's what makes their work so important. They're not just reacting to the problems of today, they're anticipating the problems of tomorrow.
They're playing the long game, thinking about the future generations who will inherit the world that we're creating with AI.
Exactly. And that's a responsibility they take very seriously.
It's inspiring to see an organization that's so dedicated to ensuring that AI is used for the betterment of humanity, not just for profit or power.
Absolutely. AI has the potential to be an incredible force for good in the world, but only if we're careful and thoughtful about how we develop and use it. And that's where AIEA comes in. They are the guardians, the protectors, the ones who are looking out for our best interests in the age of intelligent machines.
It's a good thing they're out there.
Yeah.
Because the future of AI is uncertain at best and downright scary at worst.
That's true, but with organizations like AIEA working to guide us, I think we have reason to be hopeful. They're a proof that we can be both technologically ambitious and ethically responsible. It's not an either situation.
It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot, where innovation and responsibility intersect, and AIEA seems to be leading the way in that regard.
They are, and they're not doing it alone. They're building partnerships, fostering dialogue, and empowering individuals to join the conversation. They understand that the future of AI is not something that will be decided for us. It's something we must decide together.
And that's a powerful message. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI. We can't just sit back and hope for the best.
Exactly. We need to be informed, engaged, and active participants in shaping the future we want to see. And AIEA is providing the tools, the resources, and the platform for us to do just that.
It's been an incredible journey so far, exploring the origins of AIHEA and the intricate workings of this remarkable organization. But we're not done yet. When we come back, let's turn our attention to the future. What lies ahead for AIHEA? What are their plans, their goals, their vision for the years to come? Stick with us, because we're diving even deeper after the break. Welcome back. It's been quite a ride learning about AIHEA, but we've talked a lot about the past and the present, so now let's talk about the future.
Yeah, and AIEA, they're not just focused on today's problems, they're thinking ahead.
Which is tough, right? I mean, AI, it's like a moving target, always changing.
Oh, absolutely. But that's what's so impressive about their approach. They're thinking long-term, strategically, about where all this is going.
So what does that look like? What are they actually doing to shape the future of ethical AI?
Well, one of their biggest projects is this thing called the Global AI Ethics Council.
Yeah, the council. What's the deal with that? Who's involved?
Okay, so picture this. The top experts in AI from all over the world coming together to figure out the big ethical questions we're facing. That's the council.
Okay, like a global AI ethics brain trust.
Exactly. And it's not just tech people, you know? You've got policymakers, industry leaders, philosophers, even artists and writers, all in the same room, hashing it out.
That's pretty cool. What are they hoping to accomplish?
Their goal is to come up with a framework for ethical AI development, something everyone can agree on, something that works for the whole world. Principles, guidelines, maybe even some global rules.
Wow, so they're trying to create like a global constitution for AI.
In a way, yeah. They understand if we want to regulate AI, it has to be a global effort.
That's a massive undertaking.
No doubt, but it's necessary, right? AI is global. It doesn't stop at any borders. The council is a huge step in the right direction.
This is what I love about AIEO. They're not just thinking about today's problems. They're thinking about the big picture, the really long game.
Exactly. The choices we make about AI now, they're going to affect us for a long, long time. It's not just about us, it's about the future.
And they're not just trying to control everything from the top down either, right? They want everyone involved, right?
Exactly. They're putting a lot of resources into public education, outreach, making sure everyone understands AI and the ethical issues involved.
Because it's not enough for just the experts to be thinking about this stuff. We all need to be informed.
Exactly. And they're creating resources for everyone, kids, adults, seniors. They get it. This is going to affect all of us.
That's so important, because if we don't understand AI, how can we be expected to make good decisions about it?
Exactly. AIIA understands that knowledge is power. The more we know, the better equipped we'll be to shape the future of AI.
Okay, so that's the ideal scenario, right?
Yeah.
But let's be real. AI not perfect.
Yeah.
They've gotten some criticism over the years, right?
Yeah, they have. Some of it's fair, some of it's not. I mean, no organization is perfect, especially when you're dealing with something as new and complex as this.
So what are people saying? What are the main criticisms?
One of the big ones is that they're slow, too bureaucratic. Like, they don't always act fast enough when something happens.
I mean, I can see that. It's a global organization. It takes time to make decisions, to get everyone on board.
Right. But they have been trying to become more responsive, to streamline their processes. They know they can't drag their feet.
Well, that's good. At least they're willing to listen and adapt.
Oh, absolutely. They're also really big on transparency and accountability. They're trying to be more open about how they make decisions, and they want to hear from people. Even if they disagree, they know they don't have all the answers.
That's really important. It builds trust.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, they can't do this alone. They need to work with governments, with businesses, with people all over the world, and that means building trust and relationships.
It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it, right?
Right. And it gives me hope knowing that there's an organization like AIEA out there working to ensure that AI is used for good. It's a huge responsibility, and I, for one, am glad they're the ones shouldering it.
Me too. This has been an incredible journey, exploring the world of AIEA, their mission, their methods, their vision for the future. It's a complex issue, but it's one that affects us all. And AIE is proof that we don't have to just sit back and let the future happen to us.
We can be active participants in shaping that future.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, don't let this be the end of the conversation. Learn more about AIEA, see what they're doing, get involved. The future of AI is up to all of us.
We have the power to create a future where technology empowers humanity, not the other way around. Let's make it happen.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AIHEA. We'll see you next time.